All right, so we've got a really interesting deep dive ahead of us today, something I think you're going to find pretty fascinating.
Yeah, this one's really cool. I'm excited to dig into this.
Yeah, we're talking about Kaia blockchain,
hmm
which honestly, when I first heard that name, I was like, Kaia, okay. Is that like a new AI assistant or
Oh,
something?
I know, right?
But no, it's way more interesting than that once you start to peel back the layers.
It's blockchain stuff.
Yeah, it's serious blockchain stuff. And what we're really looking at here is a merger, right?
Yeah.
A merger of not just one, but two already established
Yeah,
blockchains.
and you don't see that every day.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Clayton and Fencia kind of joining forces to create this new entity, Kaia. And from the articles you sent over, it seems like they're not just content with, simply existing. They've got some pretty big goals, some pretty ambitious plans for this new blockchain.
Definitely ambitious. I mean, you're talking about taking two established players in the blockchain space with their own communities, their own tech, and trying to merge them seamlessly. It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, it's like trying to combine, I don't know, chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be delicious, but it's not always easy to get the proportions right.
That's a good analogy because you really hit on something there. It's not as simple as just smashing two things together and hoping for the best.
No, not at all. And luckily, we've got some great insights to guide us today, particularly this Medium article by Aiden, who's actually leading the mainnet development over at Kaia.
Yeah, talk about an insider perspective. That's a goldmine of information right there.
Absolutely. And one of the first things that jumped out at me, and maybe this is a good place to start, is this whole EVM compatibility thing.
Right.
So for the uninitiated, those who might be new to the blockchain world, can you break down what EVM even means and why it matters that Kaia chose to go that route?
Sure. So EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, and essentially it's like the operating system that a lot of blockchains are built on.
Okay, think of it like Windows or iOS for your phone, but for the blockchain.
Exactly. So when a blockchain like Kaia chooses to be EVM compatible, it means that all those tools and applications built for Ethereum can potentially work on Kaia with little to no modification.
So it's kind of like speaking the same language, which in the tech world is huge, right?
Huge, because it means developers who are already familiar with Ethereum and its programming languages can easily jump over to Kaia and start building.
And that's a big deal, right? Because the more developers you have building on your platform, the more innovative and diverse your ecosystem becomes.
Exactly. It's like you said, it's all about speaking the same language, and in the blockchain world that can make or break a new platform.
So in a way, this EVM compatibility seems like a pretty strategic move on Kaia's part. It's like building a bridge for developers to migrate over without having to learn a whole new language or rebuild their applications from scratch.
Right. And it could potentially really accelerate their growth and adoption in those crucial early stages.
So it's not just about merging two blockchains, it's about merging two ecosystems, really.
Precisely. And that's no small feat we're talking about, Clayton. With 5 years under its belt, a ton of established projects, and a web of partnerships, and then you have Fencia, which brings its own strength and a network to the table.
Right, and somehow they've got to bring all of that together without disrupting everything they've already built.
It's a massive undertaking for sure, and this EVM compatibility seems like a key part of their strategy for making it work.
It's impressive for sure. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about what this actually means for, the average person using Kaia. What's the big picture here?
Right, because not everyone's a blockchain developer or even understands how it all works.
Exactly. So what are they trying to achieve beyond just, creating another blockchain?
Well, the way I see it, Kai's got its sights set on becoming something much bigger, what they call a super app blockchain.
A super app blockchain. Now, you're
Sure.
speaking my language. I love a good buzzword. But seriously, what does that even mean?
So imagine an app on your phone that does it all: messaging, payments, shopping, ride-hailing, even government services, all rolled into one.
Okay, I'm kind of picturing like a Swiss Army knife of apps.
Exactly. And these types of super apps are already hugely popular in Asia. Think WeChat in China or Grab in Southeast Asia.
I've used this. It's like their entire digital lives revolve around these apps.
Precisely. And that's where Kaia sees a huge opportunity. They're targeting a user base that's already very comfortable with this super app concept.
So instead of trying to convince people to download a separate blockchain app, they're integrating with platforms people already use every day.
Exactly. Platforms like Line and KakaoTalk, which have hundreds of millions of users in Asia.
Yeah, those are some serious numbers we're talking about, potentially onboarding a massive new audience to blockchain technology without them even realizing it.
And that's the brilliance of it. They're meeting people where they already are instead of asking them to come to a whole new platform.
It's like sneaking veggies into a smoothie. No one's complaining as long as it tastes good.
That's a great analogy, and that's what Kaia is banking on. They believe that by integrating blockchain into these familiar platforms, they can make it more accessible and user-friendly.
So less about the tech itself and more about how people actually interact with it.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how amazing your technology is if no one's using it right.
Right, it's all about adoption, and it seems like Kaia is putting a lot of emphasis on making their blockchain fast, secure, and most importantly, easy to use.
Definitely. And that speed aspect is crucial, especially in the world of blockchain, because no one wants to wait around for transactions to go through.
Yeah, I mean, 2-second transaction confirmations, that's what they're claiming, right? That's faster than most of my online banking transactions.
And that speed is essential for creating a seamless user experience, especially if they're trying to compete with those centralized super apps.
Okay, but how are they actually achieving those speeds? Are they sacrificing security or decentralization to make it happen?
That's the million-dollar question, and unfortunately, they haven't revealed all the details of their consensus mechanism just yet.
So a little bit of mystery there.
A little bit, but from what we've gathered, they're claiming to have achieved this speed without compromising on security, which is impressive if true.
Well, color me intrigued. I'm curious to see how this all plays out in the real world. But let's move on to another area where Kaia is really trying to make a splash. Decentralized finance, DeFi.
Okay, DeFi, let's get into it.
All right, so DeFi, for those who might not be familiar with the acronym, it stands for Decentralized Finance. And it's basically this whole movement to rebuild traditional financial systems like lending, borrowing, trading, you name it, but on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's like taking the middleman out of the equation, cutting out those traditional financial institutions.
Exactly, and it's been blowing up in the crypto world lately, but like you said, it could be a bit of a wild west out there.
Yeah.
So where does Kaia fit into all of this with their DeFi strategy?
Well, they're definitely not shying away from DeFi. In fact, they're going all in with something they call consensus liquidity, or CL for short.
Consensus Liquidity, CL.
Okay.
You have to break that down for me because it sounds a little intimidating.
It might sound complex, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Imagine you're a crypto holder and you want to participate in DeFi. You have a couple of main options.
Okay, I'm listening.
So one option is staking, which is essentially locking up your crypto to support the network's security, and in return, you earn rewards.
Kind of like earning interest on your crypto.
Exactly. Now, the other option is providing liquidity, which means you lend your crypto to a DeFi platform, and they use it to facilitate loans, trades, all sorts of things.
And I'm guessing you earn fees or interest by providing liquidity.
You got it. So you've got staking, which is generally seen as more passive and lower risk, and then you've got liquidity providing, which can be a bit riskier but potentially more rewarding.
So it's a trade-off like most things in life.
Exactly. Now here's where Kaia's consensus liquidity comes in. They're saying you don't have to choose.
Wait, you're telling me I can have my cake and eat it too?
That's the idea. With CL, you can stake your Kaia tokens to support the network and earn rewards, but those same tokens are also used to provide liquidity in their DeFi ecosystem.
Okay, so I'm wrapping my head around this. It's like superpowered staking where your tokens are doing double duty.
Precisely. And this has the potential to be huge for Kaia's DeFi ecosystem. For one thing, it could attract a lot more capital because users don't have to choose between staking and liquidity providing.
All right, it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And more capital usually means a healthier, more robust DeFi ecosystem, right?
Absolutely. More users, more liquidity, more activity, which is what you want if you're trying to build a thriving DeFi space.
So it sounds like this consensus liquidity thing is more than just a gimmick. It's a fundamental part of how they're approaching DeFi and potentially a major innovation in this space.
I'd say so. And it ties back to what we were talking about earlier with their whole super app blockchain vision. It's all about making blockchain more accessible, more user-friendly, and ultimately more integrated into our daily lives.
And that's what makes Kaia so fascinating to me. They're not just trying to build another blockchain, they're trying to change the game entirely.
Ambitious for sure. But from what we've uncovered today, they seem to have the tech, the team, and the vision to pull it off.
Well, I, for one, am excited to see what they do next. It's definitely a blockchain project worth keeping an eye on.
Agreed. And that wraps up another deep dive. I always learn so much from these conversations.
Me too. And a huge thank you to all of you for listening in and supporting the show. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Kaia, be sure to check out Aiden's Medium article and all the other great resources we've linked in the show notes. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.